Yo, YouTube, it is tier list time. Abby here, back at it with another tier list, this time for season 16, 5v5. Actually, I'm gonna do a separate one for 6v6 because I think there's a couple of heroes that go up and down depending on the situation and also some other things that I'll talk about in the 6v6 video. So this is specifically for 5v5, so that's a disclaimer. As always, guys, two things. Number one, more than half of you are coming back to watch the videos, but not all of you are subscribed. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, you want more Abby in your life, then all you have to do is hit subscribe. You'll be up to date whenever I go live, whenever I post a video, all that stuff. You guys have been on the internet for a while. You know why you need to hit that subscribe button. Number two, as always, the tier list videos are done in a little bit more of a podcast-like format, so you don't actually have to watch the video. I will call out the character and where I place them, so in case you want to listen to my delusionally attractive voice in the background and hear me place characters in objectively true or false places, subjectively actually, then by all means feel free to do exactly that. I'm going to skew some of them here and there based on my own personal experiences and for the sake of discussion and for funsies because, you know, rage baiting and shit. Now, with that being said, let's get started with the tier list. Starting us off is Tracer. Tracer's actually back in the S tier for me personally. I think she's actually doing a lot better than people want to give her credit for. I definitely think she's in a position now where it's a little bit harder to play her against certain maps and compositions, but she's definitely found her place back in the game. She's got great perks helping her out. Even the new perk that they gave her, I've tried it. I don't think that perk is good enough to replace the go-to major perk where you just always want the blinks to refresh, but Tracer, S tier character, very good duelist, very just overall great playmaking potential on her as well. Not much to say. Tracer's been, you know, at the very least an A minus character at the worst of her times, and that was during like an Illari meta. But outside of that and outside of goats, Trish has always been a solid S tier character. Just her skill ceiling and the potential to what you can do on her is always so high. Now, I will try to be a little bit faster with this tier list because now we have like so many heroes, right? So I don't want to spend too much time on everything. Reaper, okay, Reaper's an A. I think Reaper underestimate the crap out of this guy in the 5v5 gameplay loop. If you are a very smart Reaper and you know how to bait out resources from the enemy tank and then just walk into them with your tank, there's literally nothing the other enemy tank can that they can do about it. Not to mention his perks are actually really not that bad. Some of them are actually two of them are very good. The go-to build is usually the lifesteal from the soul orbs, and then you also want to build into the like when you leave the wraith form, I think you have like a little bit more spread or lifesteal. No, it's when you leave the wraith form you have more lifesteal and I think range or something like that. I don't fully remember everything on top of my head. I'm making this really early in the morning for me. Like this is like 7 a.m. my time, so I just wanted to get this video out for you guys before I go. So Reaper, A tier character, I think is very good. I am going to be mostly prefacing this that this is probably the tier list that goes all the way up to like low GM, because my lobbies are ranging all the way here and there around that area across the accounts that I play on for the 5v5 rank format. So that's just something to keep in mind. With that being said, Widowmaker, S tier character, map dependent character. I definitely think we're seeing a little lot less Widowmaker nowadays. She's also getting banned quite a bit the second you pop in on Havana, Circuit Royale, sometimes even on Rialto, she gets popped out. But you know, now we actually have so many more options that, you know, people are just opting to play that Freya, the Ashe, the Hanzo, and surprise, surprise, I actually think Hanzo's okay. Like he still needs help, but he's definitely much better for some odd reason now. He still needs help in the perk departments, and I'll give my full detailed breakdown on him later in a dedicated video. But for now, Widowmaker's still an S tier. I think she's by far the best hit character in the game. She forces like entire compositions to play around the way that she wants to play the game, whether it's on your team and or their team. So Widowmaker, very solid S tier character. Not much to say about her. It is what it is. Moving over to Pharah. I think Pharah's underrated. I want to put her in a solid A or maybe B tier. She definitely does drop off. Okay, you know what? Pharah is a little bit difficult. She doesn't suffer a lot when it comes to like taking duels with tanks, and there's not that many tanks that can do anything about her. She certainly doesn't like the D.Va matchup. But outside of that, if you've got a pretty good dedicated like Mercy Pocket or a Zen that's watching you very carefully, or any Ana or Juno that can like aim well and like, you know, watch the flanks that you're taking and keep an eye on you, Pharah is actually really not that bad of a pick. I will say that I am putting her in A, assuming that you are playing Pharah on a far map, right? Like, so some of these characters, we're going to be thinking about their most optimal scenario and where they peak. Outside of that, I think Pharah is like a pretty good, low-key, I think she's an A-tier character. I don't think she's that bad. She has a lot of maps where she can work even by herself without the Mercy pocket. The 125 HP to shield conversion is also very nice. But honestly, most of the time you're almost always picking the barrage, like move during barrage. It's a game changer for her, honestly. So, I think that's pretty solid. Reinhardt. Okay, I think Reinhardt's actually a very strong, very, very, very strong tank right now. And it's just a lot of Reinhardt players don't understand how to be smart on the character. I don't think he's overly bad. I don't think he's B tier at all. I think honestly all tanks are A tier. Outside of maybe like one or two that I think are a little bit awkward still. And maybe I just have good matchups into them, or I've just had really good games into them, so I don't know, but you guys can let me know. But Reinhardt, personally, for me, like these past few seasons, I've always felt like Ryan's been really strong. And I know he has a community that says like otherwise, and I've stood up for that community, but like guys, like I play a lot of Reinhardt. I have 900 hours on the character now, and whenever I play Ryan right now, I don't feel a lot of the pain points that he had before. A lot of that has to do with the chunk of armor that they threw on him. His perks are very good, in the directions you can go with them are very good. And man, that new Earth Shatter giving you 3 fire strikes, like the stun that can overfill 3 fire strikes, bro, that's crazy. Like, come on, can we stop trying to push this narrative that no, Ryan is bad? No, Ryan is pretty good, but just like any other character in the game, you have to know where to make this character excel. I think the game is becoming a lot more map dependent, because right now we're actually in a pretty balanced state of the game. And newsflash, I cannot believe that I'm saying that, right? So, excuse me, a little cuff over there. So Reinhardt, I think solid A tier character right now for a brawl tank. Definitely has an interesting, much more interesting and closer matchup with Ramatra nowadays, with the amount of sustain and the ways that you can build Ryan. But I would say it's like at this point, whenever I see a Ryan and Ramatra go at it, at this point it's anybody's game, depending on what supports you have and what DPS is helping who. Ramatra still has the slight edge, as always. He pierces through the barriers, but outside of that, like Reinhardt, he's just, I don't know, he's just feeling really good this season. So that's just my thoughts on Ryan. Moving on to Mercy. Okay, I feel really bad for Mercy. Mercy is in a very bad spot. I think right now I might even make an argument that even Life Weaver is a character. Okay, I don't think there's any character in D and F tier. Like there is an F and D tier here, but I think Mercy is possibly a character that needs a lot of help. She's lost a lot of her identity. She's lost a lot of what made her unique. And I don't like that. I don't like that for any hero in the game, right? Like whenever I find a hero frustrating, or whenever I feel like a hero is a bit too silly, I try to approach the hero in a way that, hey, let's help this hero, but then take away power from someplace else. The problem is like they insist on some gameplay mechanics, like, keeping res around, not trying to do anything innovative with her blaster, maybe reworking and giving her a new secondary weapon that can be used differently to support allies rather than, put up a fight. So, there's ways you can take Mercy and things you can do with Mercy that doesn't like have to do with like messing with her movement or all that type of stuff, right? So with that being said, I hate to say it, Mercy C tier, she's very reliant on having the right DPS, enabling that right DPS, and then praying to God that that DPS pops off. Individually, she's just an okay support. C tier is just the okay, they're playable, but like not the most optimal, but you can play them, it's like you can play them, but like they need help, right? So the C tier is pretty much that. I honestly, I don't even think there's a D tier in the game. I'll just put F here and remove this, because this is pointless. So we're just going to delete this row, get this out the way, shorten the tier list a little bit. There we go. Let me just adjust the screen. Okay, screen has been adjusted. There we go. Now, okay, moving on to Torbjorn. Torbjorn's A tier, bro. How the hell did this character still not get nerfed? In fact, he got a quality of life nerf to be even stronger. This character has a lot going for him. The perks that are a big problem, honestly, is the turret on the wall. That thing does a lot as an anti-dive mechanic, and it's very frustrating to play against. Good Torbjorns know where to place it, and you'll feel oppressed when you're playing against him when it's like that. And number two, if the Torbjorn knows actually how to time the overload into level 3 turret, you can delete tanks in the blink of an eye, and then you can go back to zoning the DPS and supports with the turret. And a lot of Torbjorns don't actually know how to use that perk. A lot of them use it during the pre-fight to burn shields or whatever, and that's useless. It's during when the fight starts and you are shooting the tank, because turret takes priority to the target that you are shooting. That's when you press the E. That's when the turret starts bombarding the other tank, and with you, your tank, the other DPS shooting that tank, that guy just evaporates. It just disappears from the screen so fast, it's crazy. So Torbjorn, I don't like his current position. You guys know I've been a resident Torbjorn hater for the longest time. I've been saying this character has been very strong for so long, and I want to see him lose a bit of power. But, you know, he'll have a dedicated nerf video coming towards him. Like, we generally might need to rework or just redistribute power in the way that he's working. I don't like how strong Turret is. I think right now the frustrating point about Torbjorn is so much emphasis is being put into the turret gameplay, and I don't like that. Also, guys, I'm so sorry if you can hear the background noises from the traffic and stuff. There's not much I can do about it. I've tried to put the settings to nullify as much as noise as possible. I'm deeply sorry. I'll try to cut it out as much as I can. So if you reach this far and you're in the video and you've heard this part, then here's a little kiss. Mwah. So sorry about the noise that might bother your experience. So moving over to Hanzo. Okay, Hanzo kind of goes into the Mercy tier. I've been actually, funnily enough, finding some success with Hanzo this season. It's been a lot more situational, I won't lie. It's definitely been a lot more situational. I play him, I find success with him, I am landing shots. Like, it took a lot of muscle memory training and finding a new sensitivity to make everything work, and I got him down. The new buff that he got to the storm arrows was like fine. It helps storm arrows be much more consistent, especially bursting down tanks. But my only problem is, when we're buffing Hanzo, why do we keep buffing storm arrows? Like, please just buff the storm bow itself. And we would rather have weaker arrows that delete the tank and instead lean into the hero fantasy of actually taking aim and landing headshots and getting value from that. I think everybody that plays Hanzo would prefer that playstyle over the storm arrows deleting 2-3 people at a time, or just deleting a tank in one go, right? So it's my personal opinion. He's in the C tier. He's playable. He's okay. He's not the highest optimal pick. If you want to go for that, you know, mid-range to like kind of a long range, like pressure sniper, I guess, that if you want to call him that. But he's okay. Like, he's at least at a point in the game now where, yeah, you can play him, but it's like, you know, there's better options. You know, you can play him, but you have to make it work, right? The same thing with Mercy. It's like, hey, you can make Mercy work, but you gotta pray to God that Mercy works, right? Because otherwise, a lot of the heavy lifting on the team is because of you. Like, team have to heavy lift you in order for your character to work. So moving over to Winston. Winston's a pretty solid S tier character. Honestly, they nerfed Winston. The survivability nerf did hurt Winston a little bit, but I don't think he's that bad. I think if you know what you're doing on Winston and you're smart, you can pretty much play this character against like 90% of compositions in the game. And then obviously if they play anti-dive, like, Winston can feel extremely awkward to play into and you have to swap off. I think maybe Winston's the only character. Oh, actually, I don't know if I want to put Winston I don't know. I want to put him in A tier, but I think Winston is S tier. If you know what you're doing on it. Maybe last patch he was S tier because he was definitely a lot more survivable. Okay, I'll be fair. Just because he lost a little bit of survivability, I'm gonna drop him in A tier. But I do know one dive tank I will put in S tier because I think this tank is absurd. It needs to be nerfed in both 5.5, 6.6, and anybody that knows where I'm going to go with this, you know exactly where I'm going with this. Okay, Zenyatta. Okay, next character is Zenyatta. I'm not going to lie, I really don't know where to place the Zen. I think Zen is good, but the circumstances of where you are playing Zen nowadays have become so much more smaller. A lot of the times when you are running the Zen has to be mechanically good. Otherwise, your team will feel the lack of sustain, right? Because Zen doesn't really do high healing, so it is crucial for him to be popping off. So Zenyatta's good. The changes to his Discord orb and everything, like, there is counterplay to a lot of it now, and if you're smart, and even if you are playing a tank without a shield or a barrier, there's ways to just outplay Zen and ignore his entire impact and just run it down mid and do whatever you want. So I don't think Zen is bad. I think Zen is good, but I'm in a place where I want to put him in B, because as much as I really like Zen, the thing is, he's really, really good into characters like Orisa and Hazard, where because they don't have a barrier or Roadhog, that you could just evaporate, like just delete them super fast. But outside of that, against like the rest of the game, I think when you're playing against the Ram, the Ryan, the Winston bubble coming up, and because of the way Discord Orb works now, a lot of the impact that your character brings is just nullified, and then Discord Orb goes on a bit of a cooldown as well. So Zen's a bit of an awkward one because I kind of want to put him in B tier. Not to mention that like Juno's ultimate as well is a little bit of a more upgraded Transcendence if you think about it. It helps people survive. Granted, it does move away from Juno. So you have to be a little bit more careful with that thing's placement. But I don't know. I might do Zen a solid. I'm okay. You know what? I'm gonna put him. I'll put him in A tier, but he's situational, right? Like, he has his maps where he's really good. He'll have his compositions where he's really bad. And like in worst case scenario, Zen's like B. like a B tier character, right? But I wouldn't say he's like C tier. He's definitely a very good character right now. Bastion, okay, Bastion, B for Bastion. I think Bastion is a little bit slept upon. I think he has a lot more places to be played in the game right now. However, there's more than enough stuff in the game that counters Bastion that you as the Bastion player has to identify that if this is in the game, I either have to swap immediately or I have to like get insta value from my pick, because Bastion's biggest problem has, at least in my opinion, has never actually been his kit and what they've tried to do with it. The biggest problem with Bastion is he has the hitbox the size of a refrigerator, and as long as Bastion has that, he will always struggle in thriving as that, like, dual form type mode change character that they want in the game that kind of goes and does different things. So I think Bastion's B tier. He's different. Like I said, he's definitely good against tanks that lack a barrier. If, for example, you're playing into Roadhog, Hazard, Hazard. At least in my experience, when I've played the Bastion or when I was playing Hazard, and in the odd times I ran into a Bastion that knew what they were doing, it can feel like hell playing against them. But outside of that, Bastion's very easy to deal with. I wouldn't necessarily drop him into the C tier. I do think, like, if you're a Bastion specialist, you know what you're doing. You can definitely make the character work. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I might just drop it as a hot take. I think I might put him in B. I'm thinking of maybe putting him in C, but I don't know. I've had a couple of Bastion one tricks on my team and against the enemy, and I don't know. They've had a lot of impact in the game, so I don't know. Like, he's a bit of an awkward one. His perks also really help him. So maybe without perks he was C, but now with perks he's B. He's like, he's middle of the pack. He's high. He's not nothing over the top like A and S, and nothing too bottom of the barrel where it's extremely, extremely hard to get value from. So not out like Hanzo and Mercy. My girl Symmetra. Okay, I want to put her in A tier, but I might just go down the super, super, super spicy route and say that Symmetra on King of the Hill is the queen of the jungle right now. Okay, her perks are absurd. So I never played Symmetra with her perks, and like one of my teammates was insisting because we were playing into a lobby with Zarya band and like D.Va was really oppressive, right? And they're like, no, trust me, you want to play Sim here and you want to build this, and this like on the perks, and then like you'll like fully oppress the entire lobby, right? And I gave Symmetra a shot, and no lie, and of course she's a little bit more resource dependent, but low-key I felt like I could oppress the entire lobby. The ultimate is still underwhelming. God forbid they turn that ultimate into anything interesting other than a giant wall. But overall, her left-click gameplay, especially when you get the major perk online and that beam is like sniping people across the map and you're deleting HP bars, holy crap, Symmetra can feel really difficult to contest. So in a scenario where, let's say, maybe Zarya is banned, Symmetra does a lot of work against a lot of the tanks, and if she has even slight amount of resource commitment from her supports and the tank and the other DPS working with her, holy crap, this character is something else. However, I will be fair, because she's a lot more resource reliant, I will drop her down in the A tier next to the other DPSs as well. So the thing about these characters in A tier, for at least the DPS, is that they are a little bit more resource heavy, right? However, S tier, I see it in a way is that even without resources, these characters can have a very high impact in the game, right? So like that's kind of how I see it. Except Reaper, like maybe Reaper borderlines S tier some games if if the map is good for him. But if you're like, if the maps are a bit too open for Reaper, it can feel a bit awkward. But yeah. Moving on over with Zarya. Okay, I think if you're a very good Zarya player, you're managing your bubbles really well, and outside of one annoying matchup with Winston, that again the Winston player has to be good to really annoy the shit out of you. I think Zarya is S tier, brother. Like the character is so difficult to play into sometimes, and there's always like even if you have the discipline of not feeding the barrier, it's either your tank mindlessly shooting the bubbles, or you have your other DPS who just doesn't understand basic discipline and just burns those bubbles and Zarya gets charged up and beams everything down. I do think that she has really painful matchups. Like, okay, she has, in my opinion, a fair matchup into Ramatra, but funnily enough, Reinhardt has a very good matchup into Zarya. It's easy to force out her bubbles with Reinhardt with Fire Strikes or one Hammer Swing and then Shield Botting. And then as soon as you know that Zarya's resources are down, Rein just walks over her, right? But overall, I'm just going to put Zarya in S tier because I think she's the most individual, I can do my own thing, I don't have to worry about anybody else type of character in the entire game, right? And let's be a little bit realistic here. The character is very accessible as well. It's really not that hard to pick her up and get value from her. She's just like a basic hit scan beam with a right click grenade, and she can put in a lot of work. Her perks are very good and very flexible. Almost all her perks are good. I think if I'm not mistaken, she gets the more jump, she gets the beam piercing, she gets the grab damage. Like, there's so much good shit in Zarya's kit right now. So I can't help but put her in S tier. I've had a lot, like, I've been perma-banning her. I've been traumatized by her and one other tag. We'll get to that in just a sec. Okay, next character up is Cassidy. I like Cassidy. I think he's actually pretty fine right now. A-tier character, not much else to say, honestly. I think he's let me just put him with the other DPS. I think he's an A-tier character. He has maps where he's good. You like him on Busan. You like him on like those like short to mid-range maps. You don't want to play him with super long range, like Junkertown Point 1 or just Junkertown in general for Cassidy can be really awkward. Like, you can make him work, but it can feel awkward. But overall, Cass is in a pretty good spot. I'm going to put him in A-tier. Moving on over to Soldier 76. You guys know that I believe this character needs help. I don't think this character is that good. I've had games where I've played him, I've played with him, I played against him, and and if D.Va exists and there's a really good Genji, Soldier 76 just cannot play the game. And look, as much as I was considering of putting him in B tier, I think in 5v5, Soldier 76 is just not good. And he's one of those characters where, yes, you can play him, you can make him work, but you have to do 10 times more. Like, why play him when you can play Cass, you can play Sojourn, who Sojourn is literally just the upgraded Soldier 76, right? So that's just my opinion on the matter for Soldier 76. The C tier characters, like, you can play them, it's going to be harder to get value from them. And the C tier are also the characters that I think need a little bit more love across their kit and maybe some power redistributions just to help them feel better, especially since some of these C tier characters are fan favorites, right? So that's just my opinion on it. Lucio. I like Lucio, pretty solid character, A tier. I don't know if I want to put him in S tier because Juno just kind of, I don't know, I think Juno has done a pretty solid job in replacing Lucio. I definitely think there's maps where you want Lucio over Juno. You're playing Legion Garden, and you know, like, things like that. Like, Lucio really comes alive on those, Ilios well. You know, but Juno, just in general, like, her kit is so strong. And what she allows for and the things that Juno can do. Definitely both of these supports are very competitive right now with one another in that archetype of allowing your team to have mobility. But at the moment, I think Lucio is an A-tier pick. I like his perks a lot as well. So moving on to the next character, Roadhog. Oh my god. Okay, so they leaned into a change with Roadhog where they gave him more sustain. Like, they gave him more like, take a breather fuel, right? And I didn't like that. And it is causing the problems that I think it would, where he just feels like he can stay alive a lot. But just like Captain America and Marvel Rivals, yes, like, both Captain America and Roadhog has like really threatening kill potential if they're left unchecked. But there's so many ways to live through his combo that if you live through his combo, this guy is doing nothing in the game, and then your team just runs him over, right? So Roadhog will be the first B tier character for me. I think he does a good job of countering certain tanks in the game where his power level just skyrockets, but I think he's B tier where he's not good, he's not bad, he's okay, he's fine. Okay, so that's what I think about Roadhog. Junkrat is pretty much the same thing. Same thing with Junkrat, very map dependent character. I don't think he's that bad. I know there's a couple of people out there that want to say he's that bad. I personally don't believe in that, simply because of the hero philosophy, taking the character in the directions that they have taken him. Sadly, this is also one of those designs that they are forcing a gimmick onto Junkrat, and they're not trying to lean away into any other playstyles. And this is just one of those like old Overwatch 1 thing. It's like Symmetra still having like turrets and teleport. It's like, even though we could perhaps rework or like change up some of their kit to be a lot more consistent and enjoyable across the board, the reason characters like Sim and Junkrat will always be in the spots that they are in. Granted that Symmetra is a little bit more consistent just because she doesn't have a projectile that's bouncing all over the place, so you have more control with it, and she has that ginormous beam. Is that they're gimmicky characters, and Blizzard wants to have gimmicky characters. So if you look at the B tier right now, it's pretty much like the very gimmicky characters, right? But I will at least say this, the gimmicks work. You can lean into like a little bit more of a trap focus, like a concussion mine, you know, detonation build, where I've been having a lot of success with that. It definitely takes a little bit of getting used to, and you have to do a lot of pre-planning and thought processing, but I do get value from that. It's led to some hilarious kills as well. Although I would say the one thing that I would buff for Junkrat that I think would do miles worth of work for him. And this is just one suggestion, is allow the timer for the concussion mine to start when he throws the concussion mine, not when the concussion mine is on the floor. I think that could do so much for Junkrat. It's crazy, because the biggest problem is you throw it, you put it on the floor, the concussion mine, and you have to wait for it to charge up for like 0.5 seconds. You hear the little ting noise, and then you can blow it up. Now, as soon as I throw it, I want to hear the ting midway through the air, and you can do some crazy things. It will also be a really funny way to counter Faras, right? So personally, I would do that for Junkrat, and then I think that would help Junkrat see a lot more play and maybe move up into the A tier, in my opinion. But outside of that, B tier character. D.Va, S tier, holy crap, she has an amazing matchup and do everything in the game right now. I genuinely cannot think of a situation where D.Va is bad, even against Zarya. This is when they're even in Overwatch 1, that like people think that Zarya counters D.Va, and okay, to a certain extent that is true, because D.Va cannot do anything about the beam, but if you have basic spatial awareness and you understand how to utilize the map, maintain high ground, maintain distance, force out Zarya's bubble, and then burst her down, D.Va is the most oppressive tank in the game. Like, outside of her, maybe the only other tank that could be as oppressive as D.Va, if not more, is probably a very good Wrecking Ball, and that's a spoiler, so I'll just throw him up here. I think Wrecking Ball is just hilariously busted right now, and he needs to be nerfed, right? On that same note, another S tier. Okay, I won't put him in S tier, but he's definitely A tier, so I'll just quickly put him there. I think Doofus is very, very strong. Sombra is pretty much perma-banned, and if you don't ban Doom and Ball, they will make a mockery out of the lobby, right? Especially if your team cannot find the tempo and the momentum to turn it around on Doom and Ball. Both these characters take over. The only reason I'm putting Ball in S tier and Doom in A is Ball just has tons of more survivability and playmaking potential than Doomfist, because Doomfist is relying a lot more on empowered punch. Ball doesn't necessarily need to rely on any empowered gimmick. He can just go in, like, scoop up, slam down, do his thing, and just oppress the lobby. And then if you're good at his techs, you can do so much shit. And he's very difficult to deal with. Very difficult tank to deal with. I think Ball needs nerfs, both in 5v5 and 6v6. They did nerf him a little bit in 6v6, but honestly, it wasn't much. So I really hope they look at the state of Wrecking Ball, because holy crap, this character, he's the only character right now in Overwatch that just sucks the fun out of the game for me. Mei is a solid A tier pick. Her new perk was, it definitely takes longer to freeze people compared to Overwatch 1. But it's a very solid perk. And if you're playing against a tank that has bad resource management or no barriers, you will freeze them, you will burst them down with your tank and the other DPS, and you will easily walk in on the enemy team. Build that with the slow perk on the miner that she has, the icicles, slow people down by 20%. Mei is a force to be reckoned with right now. I would say a little bit map dependent, but you can definitely play her pretty much anywhere if you are just good at the character and just good with her icicles. You have to be good with her icicles. If you're not good with her icicles, you can't really make Mei work everywhere. So Mei, pretty solid A tier character. Very close to S tier, by the way, but I wouldn't necessarily put her in S tier just yet. Genji, also A tier. I don't think he's S tier. I know there's been people out there that put him in A tier, but I still think Genji is one of those characters that is resource reliant. He's resource reliant on a lot of help, but sometimes it comes to his inconsistent weapon spread, and his damage can be inconsistent. So a lot of that, like, if you're not enabling your Genji, you're not working with your Genji, his potential can drop all the way down to like B tier. But in a solid, like, if a very good Genji player is playing Genji, he's at least A tier, and then if he's being enabled, he slams up to S tier. So Genji, a very good spot right now. I've been rating him in the A tier for the past like 3 seasons now, so nobody can say that, you know, I'm not fair when it comes to the Genji thing. Now, the only thing that I've always said is, personally, I don't like the brawl-like playstyle that Genji has had to adopt nowadays. A lot of that has to do with them for some reason leaning into allowing him to be like a little mini tank where they want you to heal with deflect. They gave you 250 HP. Personally, the way I would change Genji to lead into his more combo-oriented playstyle, because if we could bring that back for like 99% of the characters we removed it from with their breakpoints, why can't Genji get his? Personally, the only way I would nerf Genji would be 225 HP. He's also a mobile character with deflect, so why isn't he 225 HP? And then finally give him back 28 damage shurikens for the 5v5, along with the blade can be a little bit more experimental. So there's definitely ideas to be experimented with over there, but I think maybe if they don't change the way his damage and everything works against armor, then maybe Blade might need to go back to 120 as well. But that's a huge hot take, right? That's a huge, like, how I would power shift Genji. But the trade-off is he's extremely squishier against breakpoints. So like characters like Junkrat can two-shot him, like he becomes so much more vulnerable. Like Cassidy can do this and that to him. Farr can two-tap him. So I think Farr can two-tap him. So definitely it becomes, you know, much harder. And it becomes easier for characters like Symmetra and Moira to take the duel into him, right? But then the trade-off is that, well, you know, he's also doing a little bit more damage than before. So I would personally like that direction for him. But for his current direction, for what he is now, I'm not overly against it either. It's okay. Not a fan of it that much. I have adapted to it. It's okay. I get my fill of the character, but it is what it is. Anna, S tier character. Honestly, like, do I need to explain this pick? Sombra. Uh, I really liked her old perks, and I ranted about why I think she desperately needed them. And now with her getting permabanned, and if Ball and Doom are in the lobby, you miss Sombra's old perks. Overall, I still think Sombra, honestly, is a pretty A tier character. I'm not gonna. I think in like ranked and like playing these like slightly more uncoordinated environments, people are a little bit all over the place. You can definitely get value from somewhere. If you're just perma hacking the tank, you get that one isolated Ana that refuses to play closer to her team. There's so much value to be found with the character. I don't like her new perks. I don't like the other perks that they kept around. I really like the perks that were removed because I think they're the ones that actually had an impact on the way that she played the game. The new perks are, honestly, in my personal opinion, a little bit useless. They barely pop up, especially the major, at least for me personally. And I think the major is the one where the virus spreads out. I've barely had that happen. Even the few games I've played Sombra in quick play, just so I can play the damn character, because in rank she's permanent. I barely get that to trigger. And that was like one of the things I said when we were reviewing the leaked patch. I said, I don't see this thing actually ever working. So turns out I was right on that. Orisa, A tier, like the horse is back. People are underrating Orisa. I think she's actually very strong when you have Zarya banned. And very few characters can put up a fight against her. And if she's smart and she knows what she's doing, she can definitely take over a lobby. Now, that doesn't mean she's like not contestable. She's like, this is probably the state that she's been the most contestable in. Actually, you know what? I won't put her in A. I'll put her in B. I think B is fine. She definitely needs like the right support line to really come to light. But outside of that, she's a very strong a B plus to A minus character, right? Moira, I'm B, honestly. Like, I think Moira's fine. You can play her in pretty much every comp, and she's just one of those characters where if you feel uncomfortable or you don't know what to play and you just kind of like need the basics going, you need a bit of damage, you need a bit of healing, Moira's there. She's fine. I think she's okay. I like the spot that she's in. Um, I think she's seen some high level play. I think some team has pulled her out. I'm not entirely sure. Don't quote me on that. But I like where she is. She's in the B tier, and I think a character like Mer should be there. Brigitte, A tier. It's just the pilot, not the plane. Brigitte is fine. Her perks are really, really good as well. I really like her perks. They're definitely very strong, and she's very flexible with them. So it's a little bit map dependent. If the map's more tight, you definitely want to go for that. You know, booping people against walls. That thing comes online surprisingly a lot. So I like Brigitte. She's pretty cool. She's always been, at least in 5v5, she's been my favorite support to play. She's like, I wish I could play her a lot more, but she's a little bit more dependent on having the right other support, but she's very, very strong. Ashe, A tier character, like she's almost always A or S tier, so I don't think I need to explain her. Baptiste, okay, they buffed him, right? And I want to put him in S tier, but like, I just think Baptiste really likes the comps that don't have to move. And if you're moving a lot, it really hurts his proper potential. But with that being said, even in comps like brawl comps where he's moving with them a lot, it's not bad. Like he can definitely keep up with the pace. But like it really feels like they made Bap with the bunker comp in Overwatch 1 in mind, and he can fit into brawl comps. Bap is fine. I want to put him in S. Like I want to put him in S, but I just feel like I don't know. I think he's in A. And I think he's fine in A, honestly. I think he's an A tier character. Because honestly, Ana's perks are really ridiculous. Like, I don't think, like, even though Bap has really strong perks, I don't think it's at Ana's level. I think Ana's perks are ridiculous for what she has, right? So yeah, Sigma, A tier character. He's always been A tier because he's a very map dependent character. His perks are okay. I am a little bit disappointed about his perks, but again, a video for the future. I'll just leave it at that. We're gonna speed up a little bit. 𝐒𝐿 is actually A tier. I've seen a lot of people underrate 𝐒𝐿. I'm very close to putting her in S tier, if anything. But like S tier, if she's got a dedicated pocket. Without the dedicated pocket, she's just kind of a little bit more vulnerable. She definitely does not like any of the hit scans right now. With Cassidy getting his range back as well, it's a hard time to be an Echo player. So I do see the sentiment that yes, she can fall apart much faster, and in that regard, I was gonna put her in B. But I can't deny that Echo is one of those characters that if you know how to time your flight, your engagements with your team, and you're taking a proper team fight, then Echo's value is very, very, very powerful in the game. Okay, so I like Echo. I think she's great. I think she's a solid DPS pick. Always a little bit slept upon. She's a great counter to D.Va. She's like, anytime D.Va's like oppressing, if you can time it well, the sticky bombs into your E and just bursting D.Va down, very solid, right? So I like where Echo is. Sojourn, S tier character, even more broken with Mercy on her team, can work really well even without the Mercy and a decently coordinated comp, but definitely does like having that Mercy on her team. She's very oppressive. I don't understand why they haven't properly nerfed her. Like I said, the game is relatively very well balanced, but I do think some of the characters in S tier, I still think Ana's perks could be addressed a little bit more, and Sojourn as well. That overclock perk has got to go, bro. If Sojourn can get more breakpoints, why can't Genji? You know, like, what are we doing here? You know, like, makes no sense. Like, oh, this character can now one-shot people like by herself with her ultimate, but the character that needed to do a combo at melee range at full risk, well, no, that's too much. You know, that's a bit much. So that's just my personal pet peeve. Jungle Queen, A tier. I don't think she's that bad. I think she's actually pretty good. A lot of people underrate Jungle Queen. I definitely think the places where you can play her are just a little bit nicher than before. Ban Zarya. Okay, you can deal with the annoyance of Kiriko, and if you're good at like forcing out the Suzu, and or your team can force out the Suzu, then definitely she can just completely dominate that match. But you definitely don't want the matchup with Zarya. Like, I hate. I play a bit of Jungle Queen, and just I feel like I struggle the most when I'm against Zarya. The other tanks are like whatever, right? You don't really care about them. Kiriko, A tier character. She's fine. Honestly, the DPS passive hurts her a lot as well. Her perks are pretty decent. I really like them. The double Swiss step jump is annoying, but outside of that, Kiriko's fine. Ramatra, also A tier. Honestly, almost borderline S tier. Actually, no. You know what? For the sake of argument of being a brawl tank, I think Ramatra is S tier. He's probably the best brawl tank in the game. I was debating if I wanted to put Hazard, but honestly, Hazard is kind of like a jack of all trades and not like a fully dedicated brawl tank, but Ramatra brings versatility in the options of his poke is very good now with that perk, and then you have like it does kind of suck that you can just waste your time block botting, but block botting forces out resources, and when they're down, you just get to go in and do whatever you want. So I don't know, maybe not S tier. I don't think he's like to the point where he can take over a full match by himself. He definitely needs help, so I might just put him down in the A tier. Also, guys, like the order is all over the place. Like the orders are not like, you know, they're not like representative of the power levels. They're just all over the place, right? So they're all like, you know, A, S, B. Like, they're not like, oh well, Ramatra is better than Doom, right? It's not like that. Light Weaver is actually B tier. I don't think Light Weaver is that bad. I think it's on the same power level as the as Moira, and his perks are really nice. The quality of life changes they give him are pretty good. You can definitely make Life Weaver work if you have at least another main healer, quote unquote, on your team. But you definitely cannot make Life Weaver and Mercy work. Guys, please stop trying to force that comp. It's very bad. Okay, I try to be supportive to both like Mercy and Life Weaver players, but please don't play them together. That's when it's very hard for your team to find value, unless they're playing Wrecking Ball or Sigma, where even then, at least in Sigma's case, you know, Sigma has to play very carefully. DPS don't really care about the supports that they have. They like the Mercy. Ball and Sigma maybe don't necessarily care. And well, Sigma technically gets a bonus from the Life Weaver pull, since it can pull Sigma out of like aggressive situations as well. So I like where Weaver's at. I think Weaver's fine where he is. He is a very problematic kid that we shouldn't buff to the point where a character at the skill floor can get this much value, right? So he's fine where he is. Leave him there. I think he's okay. Illari, I actually think, okay, so if there was ever a time where I wanted to use the F tier, oh wow, the F tier, oh wait, no, we removed the D tier. So if there was ever a time where I had to use the F tier, Illari, okay, well, actually I put it in C tier because I just said that I don't think any character is F tier. But if I had to be a little bit more aggressive about this, Illari. I love Illari. You guys know that she was my favorite new support to play, and she's still one of my favorite characters to play. But this character has nothing going for her. She has one of the worst healing resources in the game. She feels like a hit scan Moira. It just feels like if you want to play Moira, that's much harder, play Illari. right? And she's so heal botty now because she cannot confirm kills, right? Her perks don't really help anything in the gameplay loop that she's trying to do. They try to give you a little bit more, like, healing resources, but then that just forces Illari into a heal bot playstyle. So Illari just gets reduced to heal botting into building her ult with very little poke here and there, and then like shooting into the enemy team and praying that somebody pops off, or you can trigger your own explosion from the sun explosion. But that doesn't happen because her breakpoints are actually dog shit, right? So I'm sorry, but this was the one time where I actually had to rant. I actually think Illari is probably one of the worst characters in the game. Maybe no. At least Mercy can work out by pocketing somebody, right? And then she doesn't become that bad. Illari is rough. Illari is rough. She doesn't have breakpoints. Her healing runs out like very quickly if the fight goes on for much longer. And her breakpoints are very poo-poo. She doesn't have the poke potential like Zen does. So it's funny because she was a character that was meant to compete with Zen in that role, like Juno was to Lucio, and now she just doesn't do anything. So, in my personal opinion, like, Illari has to be high priority for balance changes, like, or a rework. Like, honestly, gut the pylon. I hate the pylon so much. Please, this character is actually so cool when you ignore the fact that the pylon is included in the gameplay loop. So, I'll talk about her later. Anyways, Mauga is a lot more situational. I think he's A tier. Actually, I was gonna put him in B tier, but I think he's A tier. I definitely think there's matches where against certain tanks, like again, like the tanks that you can burst down very quickly, like Hazard, Junkrat Queen, if you have good aim. You force out the bubbles on Zarya, like Hazard can take over very quickly, but again, you have to be so careful on him. He's very good into Ramatra as well. The matchup with Doomfist is okay. I do see a lot of people trying to counterpick Mauga into Doom. I don't understand why I don't personally do that, but I assume it is a thing. You can pick him into Winston as well. It's not that bad of a matchup either if you're trying to play closer to your backline and with your supports. I think Mauga's good. He has his place in the game. He is a tank buster-esque tank. His perks are pretty damn good and very fun to use as well. And he's okay. Honestly, he's an A tier character. I don't think he's any lower than that. Maybe B tier at worst, but if things are not working out for you, then you definitely have to swap off him. But like most of the time, if you're playing him in the right scenario to burn down a tank, and you're smart with how you use your E, he's pretty solid A tier character. Venture, same thing, A tier character. I don't have much to say about them. I think they're very good. I like their perks. It's not the most transformative gameplay. It is just like quality of life galore, and outside of that, they're pretty strong, right? Juno, oh boy, Juno's weird. So I want to put Juno in S tier. But man, her gun feels terrible to use. Like her abilities and ultimate are incredibly busted. But I don't know. I'm really off on Juno. Like I don't know. I'll put her in S tier because I think she's still very, very strong after all her nerfs. I don't know, man. Okay, I'll put her in A tier, but this is a huge a huge asterisk. Like it's just if there was a tier in between, I'd put Juno in there because I think Juno's still very, very strong, right? And I've always said the power is actually in pulsar torpedoes, but nobody wants to listen to that argument. Whatever. Hazard, 80 character, very solid. If you know how to play him well, you'll pop off with him. He actually has really good matchups across the entire tank roster. There's so many ways to play him in a very innovating playstyle. I really like him. He's one of the best designed characters in Overwatch 2. Thumbs up. He definitely has characters he doesn't like playing into. One of them at least I have felt personally when I've been playing this character is D.Va. I think D.Va makes his life a living hell. He doesn't like fighting Mauga either. And a good Reinhardt or a good Ramatra can definitely, or a Doomfist, can give you a run for your money. But if you know what you're doing and how to play around their cooldowns, then it can be anybody's game. So Hazard is honestly more like a Swiss Army knife or a jack of all trades, master of none. He can do a little bit of dive, a little bit of brawl, a little bit of poke. He's okay. I like him. I like him very much. Freya, and I think Freya is A tier. Very, very close to S tier. But she is a little bit reliant on the map. So there's maps where she becomes a little bit inconsistent, and it's very, very easy to force out her resources, corner her down, and then burst her down. A lot of people, I do agree that her poke potential is crazy, but it's actually a lot harder to do than it seems. Like this character is an overall projectile character. She is not a hit scan, to be fair. So like her shots that land and everything have to rely on like predicting this and that. I do think that lowering the cooldown of her little dash in the sky before the next take aim shot, the fact that they buffed that I thought was a little bit silly. I do agree that the updraft, like the one that goes up, I do think the cooldown needed to be reduced over there because she's very squishy. Like if she's forced into a duel, I've played Reaper, Tracer, Sombra, Mei, even Farah, Echo, Soldier 76, Cassidy. If you close the distance on her, it's over for her. Like, she really doesn't want that close range duel, right? So that's the only reason I'm putting her in S tier, in A tier. Because if she didn't have that weakness that, oh, at close range, like, she can take a fight, then she's definitely S tier character because she's good in every scenario. But yeah, even tanks, like, even if a tank jumps on her, has found her like isolated and is bursting her down, there's nothing she can do about it. So that's my tier list for this season, everybody. What do you think? Again, as always, sorry for the background noise. I do hope the video was enjoyable regardless. With that being said, what would you place differently? What do you think of this season? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? I think this is the most balanced Overwatch has ever been, although I still think some things could be changed. And with that being said, we will have videos coming up talking about which characters could use a bit of a buff, Illari, and which characters could use a little bit of a nerf, Wrecking Ball. And we will get to them throughout the coming week and everything. So as always, if you enjoy the content, all you have to do is like and subscribe, drop a comment. It helps with the algorithm, helps with the channel in general. That being said, I will see you in the next video.